seek to rejoin 35 of them in the national interest. Is it really in the national interest?
Well, if I can say, it's another example of the long history of dishonesty and deceit that has characterised our membership of the European Union. The Conservative Party talks about repatriating powers. They had a classic and golden opportunity here to repatriate all of these powers in the Justice and Home Affairs area, and they're saying that they're going to opt out of some and just these ones in the national interest. Well, the ones they're actually opting out of are in actual fact all defunct or redundant or rhetorical measures anyway that don't actually mean anything. The ones that they're opting into are in fact the most dangerous ones, which they could have stayed out of. As for it being in the national interest, this is a joke, a very, very bad taste joke. If I can give you the worst example of these measures that they're now going to continue with, the European arrest warrant, of course, sets aside hundreds of years of safeguards under our own legal system where people couldn't be arrested or imprisoned without there being sufficient evidence against them to lay a charge. Now, any British citizen can be taken off to another EU country purely and simply on the strength of a piece of paper, a form being filled incorrectly. No evidence has to be produced against them, and an English court and a Scottish court has no power to prevent that extradition on the basis of evidence or no evidence whatsoever. They're not allowed to see the evidence. And there's a whole other raft of things behind this, like, for example, the new European investigation order, which will allow foreign police forces to require British police forces to investigate people, put them under surveillance, confiscate their records, their computer records, their paper, all kinds of things which are unbelievable that can happen in our country, but they are going to happen, and they're going to happen because the Conservatives have opted in and decided that we need all these things in the national interest. That's pure baloney, because all of the things that are necessary to be done in terms of cooperation between legal systems and police forces are already there under kind of mutual assistance agreements, which are already in place, but they safeguard our liberties and freedoms in our own country. These measures set all those aside, and it's about creating the great European political state. It needs its own courts, its own police forces, its own intelligence gathering services, and this is what they're setting up.
Well, about the European arrest warrant, you just said that she promised additional safeguards. We cannot trust her when she says that it won't be used for minor offences at all.
Well, why is it, I don't understand this, why is it good, and it is good, that you don't allow somebody to be extradited with no evidence against them on a minor offence, but you do allow them to be extradited with no evidence against them on a major offence? And what might be trumped up evidence in a foreign country which doesn't have the same kind of level of police and legal systems that we have. This is a complete red herring, that somehow it's okay to protect people in minor offences, but not okay to protect them against major offences. You know, I've had constituents who've been carted off on manslaughter charges, which they were then acquitted of precisely because there was no evidence, and 2 or 3 years of their lives are ruined by this type of thing. Whereas the British court could have looked at the evidence and said, well, there isn't sufficient evidence for an extradition, and we're not going to grant extradition.
In the meantime, motion has been tabled on the conditions for rejoining Europol. What do you think of this perspective?
I don't think we should join Europol at all. We should opt out of Europol. The Europol officers have immunity for anything that they do or say in the course of their duties. This is a concept completely alien in English law. No officer of the Crown, from a police constable up to the Home Secretary or any minister, has immunity under the law for what they do. They are subject to the common law, the same as every other citizen in the UK. And yet we're opting in to join a police organisation where officers have immunity. It's just not on. It's totally contrary to our tradition and our freedoms and liberties under the law. We don't need Europol. We had Interpol in the past, which was about cooperation between national police forces with intelligence and tracking people who were involved in crimes across borders. That's what we need, mutual cooperation, not the setting up of these these pan-European organisations, which are just another instrument for creating a European political state.
Thank you, Gerard.
You're welcome. Thank you.